Habit I'm trying to get back into is doing a really thorough weekly review. So if we look at this weekly review checklist, I've got things in here about orientation, which is really around orienting myself in my vision, values, and so on. I've got a set of questions I use to review my week, which I'll show you in a moment. I look at my financial management, do a little bit of work on getting my emails under control and doing follow-ups, check my calendar and make sure I've got my arrangements in place for the coming 2 weeks, take a look at my goals, do a whole stack of task planning. To-do is becoming increasingly important as a central point for my task planning, and then if I've got time I'll file my Evernote notes as a bit of a bonus task. So getting through some of this in a timely manner does mean that I have to stay on top of some of my daily routines, which I use another app for called Way of Life, which I'll post about on a separate occasion. But so long as I've got things like email clearing happening on a daily basis and I'm maintaining my to-do list daily, then it doesn't take that long to get through this list, maybe an hour to an hour and a half, which is a worthwhile investment. I have a weekly review checklist, and you'll see over here in the shortcuts on Evernote that I have both a daily review questions, weekly review questions, and then I have checklists for weekly, monthly and quarterly reviews tagged in the shortcuts to use as templates. Here are the questions I use for my weekly review, and I've refined them over the years, and most recently of all things, I found a little specialist journal at a stationery store, Kiki K, where there were some good questions. Didn't want to spend $30 on a journal, so I've just modified the questions recently, so you can look out for ideas for updating your weekly questions from a whole range of places. So you may well have read through these questions already, and there's a link to them. I'll just put another couple there. There's a link to the questions on my daily dispatch post. Now, I'll just pick out a couple of these questions and talk briefly about why they're there. So I think a lot of the questions in that checklist are pretty self-evident while they're there, but there's a couple that I've found particularly help me with reflection and insight, and they may not be obvious. So one of them is what I feel discomfort or tension about. These are often indicators of things that I'm neglecting or maybe behind on or important for me to either do or make a decision to leave behind. So I find that question particularly helpful, and I think I picked up that question from the Asian Efficiency podcast. And one other question that I think is worth touching on is limelight moments coming up, which might feel a bit odd to some people, and by that I mean moments where perhaps I'm going to be in the spotlight or I'm going to be in someone else's spotlight, so there might be an opportunity to celebrate something I particularly want to pay attention to capturing or sharing with others in my network, or from the perspective of my business development, something I could utilise to promote the work I do and how I help others with the services I provide.